Uh, well, the reason I'm up early this morning is somewhat unbidden. An unrequited love came and awakened me in dreams. That's a very, very rare thing for me. But it got me to thinking about such matters. You know, whether it's, I don't know, the way I define love as an act of will, it actually applies. But in some cases, it could be seen as just desires, obsessions, whatever. It's a strange thing, though, that I was thinking about them, which is, in many, many ways, they seem sweeter than many, maybe not quite all, but many of the memories that I have of real loving situations. Well, that may just be my twisted mind, though, here, because the sweet memories I have aren't, oh, you baked a pie for me. They're rather sexual in nature, which I don't think is too terribly odd, to tell you the truth, but I think people don't like to discuss things like that. I'm not about to... Anyway. It leads me to wonder whether or not, I mean, the first thing is, there's often this, your desires are always better as mere dreams. In some cases that may be true. I'll tell you one place it's not true is, I desire to own this game. Sometimes it doesn't end up as good as the desires, but it never is I don't have this memory of, oh wow, I remember really wanting to play that and, reflecting on that. Whereas with people, there's this tremendous pain in the moment where you're intensely alive, more alive than in many other times. I mean, pain is often that way, where you're living, burning more brightly in all ways. And this emotional pain and torment. Now, I do not look back upon, say, the emotional pain and torment of when my ex left me, or when many others have left me, as, some sort of sweet moment of, wow, I miss that. I may miss the intensity, but I don't miss those feelings. But on the other hand, that feeling of, oh my God, I really want this person, I think we'd be so perfect in so many ways. Which actually, strangely enough for me, sometimes it is. But recently at least, as I've gotten older, it's almost never anything erotic. But this morning was a exception to that. But I'm having so much trouble finding what I'm trying to say here. Or maybe Richard Berg is right, I should just write down everything. But then it's not the same. Then I'm not exploring. I've done the exploring on my own, right? The point here is I won't do that unless I'm speaking. I used to go for walks to explore. Now this is the best that I can do. So, what I'm thinking here is, had I spent some time with these people beyond, and in some cases, unrequited love is not the right word, because there was love between both of us, but the circumstances were such that I was too cowardly, or they were unable, or whatever, to pursue something. And it fits in the same sort of feeling. Very much the same, where you've got this, what can I do? Can I broach the subject? But I really know that they're of course, I know that they're interested in me has proven rather wrong on at least one occasion. And I was so damn sure. But I'm an easily fooled creature. But I have a large collection of these because I'm a very cowardly person. I will not approach anyone. So if I get along well with someone and there's flirtation and such not, I might build up too much. And that's actually one of the things, is this building up too much. That's a part of it. It becomes almost impossible. So with my ex-wife, comes the closest that I've come to someone that maybe I sort of felt that way, in the sense that when I first saw her, I thought, that's something I like. I don't think I've felt that way about anyone else on sort of that very first meeting without interacting with them, without some cues being given. But with her, she was sleeping on the couch while she was sitting on the couch, and then later fell asleep on it. And then I went up and listened to music, and she came up and initiated a conversation. But, I can think of others where I was very attracted to the person fairly early. Yet there was conversation, there was a connection there that worked right away from the beginning, where my interest is being blurred by, there's a person here that I understand already, and they understand me, and I'm getting these cues that they're interested in this, that, and the other. So that's a different thing. Now, of course, I wouldn't be one to act on those cues on my own, but that's me. But what I'm thinking is, well, there's no reason to believe, except for this mystical, oh my God, this is, such a perfect person for me for some reason. Even though I know nothing about them, right? Except some feeling and this obsession that starts to grow. There's no real reason to believe that this would work any better, and strong reasons to believe that it wouldn't. That, even if things fell together, that it would just end up as, probably another relationship kind of in the dustbin. Likely not a strong one, because there wasn't enough there to force it anyway. But it's, I don't know, it's just so strange to look back and think, wow, I miss being obsessed in that sort of way about a person. And I do. I really do. I guess for me, though, the thing that does get me obsessed now, maybe when I was, a young teen, it was a little different. But now the thing that really gets me obsessed is that indication of interest. I don't just see someone and start really, putting any hopes there. But as soon as there's the indication of interest, boom, I'm over the top, man. And it's beyond what is reasonable. It's probably the narcissist in me that really needs to be loved. I don't know. I mean, but and so long as that is there, so long as I'm loved, so long as that I can feel that desire, I obtain the same. But without that, without thinking that, at least, without believing it, whether it's real or not, without believing it, I almost go to a very neutral sort of place where there's no commitment at all on my part. It could be, I don't know, I'm not sure why. I certainly had a couple of those kind of youthful crushes where I really, really wanted someone who wasn't showing any sign of anything, just on their looks and how they move and whatever. And there, maybe the fact that I did sort of take a chance once. I mean, for me to risk anything, anytime, is almost out of the question. But I did. And, I mean, one got the expected result. Yeah, okay, whatever. I remember I did an audition where it was that sort of situation. Hey, you're sitting in class and you really want this girl. How are you going to approach her? Just, play that out. And I don't remember, but I was just sitting there at the desk. And unfortunately, the girl they had as the actor was, not even interesting to me. But maybe that was fortunate because I'm able to very much put myself into my own memory space and everything in those cases. In some ways, I become disconnected when I'm acting, and that's actually a bad thing. But, I'm just sitting there, I'm doing nothing, and you can almost feel that there's this, okay, what's is he gonna do anything? From the people who are judging the audition or whatever. And then the bell rings, she gets up. And I just get up, walk over and blurt out, I love you. Just, but, not like that, just so much pain, so much anguish coming out. Now that's what I cannot usually do, right? I simply cannot, and that's a good thing. But I also can't do what normal people do, which is engage in conversation. Usually, maybe if there's enough alcohol or I'm really, really tired, I can. But I'm so caught up in myself. That's a good reason why, nobody should be interested in me, right? But I'm so caught up in myself. And it's funny because even though I am, that does not remove empathy, and it does not remove, or at least throughout my life it hasn't. I've become less caring about this. But it doesn't remove the desire to please. I have both of those in what I think is perhaps too great a quantity. I do want to go into a kind of an autistic spectrum and empathy thing, which I don't want to go too deeply into here, because a lot of times the autistic spectrum is seen as people with no empathy. They're so in their own little world. And whether or not I'm autistic spectrum or not, but I can tell you one thing. I feel other people's pain if I allow myself to a tremendous degree. To the degree that I can, project myself fully into what I think their circumstances are. And especially the very worst. And so the only answer for me is to cut it all off. Is to silence that, except for with a couple of people. I suppose doesn't sound like anything exciting or all that different from what everyone feels, and it may well not be. It's just that silencing is very, very effective. It's very much being able to shut everything out unless I consciously let it through. Anyway. Someone who is that wrapped up in their own world and themselves may seem like a very, very poor choice from me. Not from my point of view, of course. I actually am more interested in people who are wrapped up in themselves and have that tiny filter, that iron lock that they can slide open just a tiny bit and let just a little bit through one person or a couple of people to be really close to them, and that's it. Because then I feel like I have a proportion of their attention. I don't want to hear about, Janie did this, and then Jim said this. I don't care about your shit if it's that. If you've got this wide circle of people, man, it's like you're an alien to me, and I'm sure I'm an alien to you. However, if someone really means something to you, or if something really means something to you, and I care about you, I therefore care about those things, at least insofar as they affect you. And you need to understand them. And maybe to some extent control them, which is terrible, but I'm sure. Yeah. No, nothing about me is terrible because I am perfection. But where were we getting here? Yeah, well, why so many, right? But I'm sure most people have many. I invest very, very heavily in people, though. Just very few people. And I can also be betrayed very easily. So, I don't even know what the point of this was, except to meander, I guess. Meandering's always a good thing. Alright, I guess we've said more than we should anyway.